Let's take a look now at migrations in Prisma and Drizzle, how they work, and we're going to start with Prisma. We'll take a look at the Prisma case first. So I've got a schema here. I've got schema.prisma. It has our post table, our user table, and our category table. We have already got these tables in place in our database, and we did that initially by doing npx prisma db push. And that command is one in which we get our tables and any kind of changes that we make to our tables applied to our database in a way that is direct, and there is no record kept of the changes that we make. This is good for development, but it's not so good when we're going into production and we need to keep a history of the changes that get made to our database. That history is important so that we can go back and see where something might have gone wrong in the past. And it's also important so that any kind of new databases that get spun up that are based on our schema can follow the exact same path of getting things applied to them, like new tables, like modifications to fields in tables. They can get those modifications done to them in an exact and expected way based on the migration history. So while this command here, npx prisma db push, is good for development, we'll want something more robust for the real world, and we'll want to track migrations. So let's do this. Let's go over to table plus. We're going to go into the Prisma database and just delete everything. So we will truncate it here, cascade the deletes. We just want to get rid of all the data that's in here so that we can start fresh, essentially. All right, are we clean here? It looks like we still have those tables. Let's delete those and cascade them. And save that. Now we're in a clean state here. So then back over in VS Code, let's come down here and we'll do npx prisma migrate dev. And that is going to do a couple different things. It is first going to create a migration file for us, and we can see that once it completes in the Prisma directory. A migration file is going to be the SQL, the actual SQL that is responsible for putting these tables together and applying the fields to them that we have in our data model, etc. And for the name of the migration, let's just do init, so the initialization. All right, so we've initialized things, and in the output here, we see we've got migrations. We've got this date for a folder name underscore init and migration.sql. So here it is. We can take a look at what it looks like here. We are creating a post table, we're creating a user table, and on we go. So with this in place, what we should have now is our database populated with those tables. So let's take a look now back in table plus. There we go. Our tables are empty. We have to run our seed command to get data back in there. And we can do that quickly here if we do npx prisma db seed, just like we did at the outset of the series. So it looks like the data got created for us there. We'll come back and refresh. There we go. There's our data. All right, so this is essentially the same thing, the same result that we had from db push, but instead now we've got a migration file. And what we do at this point is anytime we make changes to our database, to our data model, we run it through migrations that then get applied to other databases that we might have. Those other databases would be development or staging databases that are remote, and eventually a production database as well. So keeping these migration files is very important for integrity, for being able to see what changed. And we even have the opportunity to provide some custom behavior here in our migration files themselves so that we can do some kind of custom operation when our database migrations go through. Okay, so let's do the equivalent operation now on the Drizzle database. Let's go over and start by clearing out what we have. So let's just delete everything here. We'll try just to go straight to delete. We'll cascade that and save. It looks like we are good there. We've got everything deleted, so we've got a clean slate for Drizzle now. So before we can run a migration, we need to go into Drizzle config and provide some more config here. And the extra bit of config looks like this. We want migrations as a key. Let's add in table, and we'll say table should be journal. So effectively how the migrations are tracked is going to be tracked one by one in a journal fashion. And then the schema to use will be Drizzle, like that. So then let's come down here and we'll do npx drizzle kit generate, give it a name, equals init. All right, so we got a migration file put into the Drizzle directory for us. So if we go to Drizzle, that got created for us. This file here is going to have everything that we need to create those tables. Then the next step that we have to do is actually apply the migration, and we do that with npx drizzle kit migrate. All right, migration successfully applied. Let's take a look here what we have in our database. There are our tables again, and at this point we could just apply that same SQL script that we had at the beginning to seed this database. And in fact, we can just do that now. Let's go back over here. We'll go to seed.sql, grab all of this, and we'll come into our SQL editor. And it's still there from last time, actually, so we could have just used that. And we'll run. And we'll take a look now at our data. There's our posts. All of our data is in place as it was before. So both Prisma and Drizzle offer a really solid migrations experience. We can produce new migration files. They stack up over time, and we're able to bring any new database we might be working with. We're able to bring it current with what has happened in the past. And that becomes important in various situations, like for example, if we have a new developer joining the team and we want to have them get situated with a new local database, they can get that database set up, run the migrations, run a seed script, and they are all set to go. So things are fairly similar between Prisma and Drizzle in terms of migrations. With Drizzle, there's a bit more setup that we have to do in our configuration file, but it's not much more. In the case of Prisma, we get a lot of this for free. We don't have to define much extra because we have everything defined as we need it here in our schema file. So it's worth noting as we wrap up this lesson that Drizzle actually does have a similar function to Prisma's DB push. It's npx drizzle kit push. And if we do that, we get a similar experience to what we have with Prisma when we do Prisma DB push. So just a kind of development environment way to get our database synced up with what's in our schema. So in a lot of ways, there's quite a bit of feature parity between Prisma and Drizzle when it comes to these extra features that give us productivity gains, which is great news for us.